Hello, and thank you for joining me again today on the Finding Hope After Loss podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jon Paul Crimi, a breathwork teacher and coach who helps people work through stress, trauma, grief, and emotional pain using a practice called circular breathing. In this conversation, we discuss how emotions can become stored in the body, the connection between breathwork and healing, and how this practice may support those navigating infertility, loss, and grief. Jon Paul also shares his own journey and the transformation that led him to this work. Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Jon Paul to talk all about breathwork. So, Jon Paul, do you mind giving a little intro about yourself?
Sure. My name's Jon Paul Crimi. I've been teaching breathwork for the last 15 years. It's been life-changing. And I think I should probably start with the idea that breathwork is an umbrella term. It's like saying fitness, right? Because I'll say breathwork and people are like, yeah, I've done breathwork. And they're talking about box breathing, or they're talking about Wim Hof, or they're talking about some other thing that they've done. And so there's a lot of misconceptions and confusion out there around what breath work is because it's an umbrella term. Like saying fitness. If I said, Sarah, I do fitness, you go, okay. What do you do? Do you do weights in the gym? Do you do yoga, CrossFit, Soul Cycle, right? And so it's kind of like that. And I teach a very specific type called circular breath work, or conscious connected breathing, which is not relaxing. It's intense, and it's worth it because it clears out stress, anxiety, trauma, all these different things. And I'm sure we'll go into that since you did the class. But I just want to be clear about that when I say breath work, because people get confused and they confuse it with a lot of different things.
And I
Um,
think for me too, when I heard the term breathwork, I was thinking like the kind of breathing you do with yoga, like the
yes.
relaxed, that kind of breathing. So yeah, I was definitely like, this is not what I expected.
Yeah, and I teach it in a way that's very different than other breathwork teachers that even do this style that I teach. So it's very unusual for people. I do it in a way that's kind of like a personal trainer, kind of like a Tony Robbins, and I bring in the edginess, the funniness to it, and the humor, and I also bring in the motivational stuff and the intensity that I used to be a personal trainer. I bring that in as well. So I teach it in a very different way. And I bring in the science, which when I started breathwork, there was no science. It was all new age, woo woo stuff. And I found all the science out there around this thing. And a lot of people like myself appreciate the science and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's always nice to hear that you're not just doing something random, that there's actually like some for the people who like that scientific stuff, which I mean, I do, to hear
Yeah.
that there's actually proof that what you're doing is working.
Yeah, yeah. Why does the body do this when we are breathing in this specific way? And why does breathing in this specific way, release stress, anxiety, generational trauma? Like a lot of people can't wrap their brain around this whole thing because I've been breathing since I was born unconsciously. Right. So wait, I'm going to come to your class and you're going to show me a different way of breathing, and I'm going to breathe in this different way, and it's going to clear out my stress, my anxiety, my generational trauma. Like they can't even wrap their brain around that idea until you actually do it. So that's why I'm always trying to convince people, like, you have to come try this thing. It's way different than you think. It's way more incredible than you could possibly believe. And here's the thing, you don't have to believe in it. The results will be there no matter what. Even if you're skeptical, I love skeptical people. I love cynics and critics. Like, just come and try it and tell me that I'm wrong. So that's what I'm always like trying to just convince people, like, come try the class. The results are immediate and they're undeniable.
What is it that first got you into breath work?
Oh wow. Well, so that's a whole rabbit hole, which is I'll try to keep the story short there. So Matthew Perry from the show Friends was a very close dear friend of mine, and he had gone to a guy. This girl took him to like a healer guy, and they did a different type of breath work than what I teach now, but he was telling me about it, and I thought it was ridiculous. And I was like, that sounds crazy, Matthew. Like, that's stupid. That didn't happen. Like, all these wild things that happened. And I was like, there's no way. He's like, well, I bought you a session with the guy because you're my only friend with an open enough mind to try this thing. And I was like, really? Because I had just met Tony Robbins and done Tony Robbins' seminar, and that really opened me up. So I was open at the time. So I did a session with this guy through Matthew, and I had a real experience. I had a pretty profound experience. And then I went down a rabbit hole of all these other different types of breath work that are out there that I didn't know about, that I didn't even know existed. And I had profound experiences doing all these different types of breath work. So I was like, why doesn't everybody know about this? Why isn't everybody doing this? I had this realization, like, well, this is life changing in one session. Why wouldn't everybody do this? And I realized because it had been kept in these new age kind of woo woo circles, and people like to do things with people they can relate to, people that they go like, yeah, okay, if that guy, if that angry East Coast guy can have this massive change, then I'm open-minded enough to try it. Like, because I was kind of didn't realize it that I was really angry at the time. Angry people don't know they're angry, just like, crazy people don't know they're crazy. But I was really angry, and I had this massive shift from the breath work, and other people noticed it, like clients, friends, everyone close to me noticed it first. And then people around me on the periphery, they noticed it next. And they were like, what's going on with you? You're so different. You're like happy and present. Are you medicated? Like, what's up? And I go, well, I'm doing this weird breathing thing. And they're like, what is it? And show me. So I started showing people, and they were having these experiences. And I just kind of got pulled into it by the, nature of my own change.
I think that's amazing though, when you see the change in yourself and then you decide, I'm going to start sharing it with other people, and then you start to see the changes in them, and then everybody changes.
Yeah, it's a multi-level marketing for good.
Yeah.
Like MLM for good. And it's funny because even when I started doing it, this woman really asked me to convince me to do a class at her studio. And I was like, I've never taught a class before. And she goes, you'd be amazing. Come on. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't even want people to know. I was kind of embarrassed around it. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it in my own way. And I'm going to use the music that I think is cool. And I'm going to use my trainer style. And I'm going to do it the class that I want to take. I'm going to do that class, which is different than the classes that I took in the beginning. And, Matthew Perry actually came to one of those first classes, and he said, I know this isn't, like, I know you really wanted a TV show or a movie, but like, this is your gift. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. And that was very convincing. I was like, really? You think this is what I'm like? And I realize now, after doing it for the last 15 years, it's like, sometimes you have to walk away from these ideas, these dreams that you have, in order to step into the destiny of who you're supposed to be. Like, maybe that dream doesn't actually fit, and maybe it's not the best thing for you. Maybe the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, has a better plan for you. And maybe it felt good because, I felt like I was fighting against the tide, swimming upstream all the time and trying to get this thing that I'd get so close and then it wouldn't happen or it wouldn't work out. But when I did breath work, it was like very natural, and people kept asking me for it, and people kept calling me for it. And one of my teachers is like, yes, Jon Paul, that's what a calling is. People are literally calling you on the phone and asking you to take them through breath work. That's your calling. Like, that's what a calling is.
I love that though. I mean, yeah, it can be really hard when we have this idea of like what our life is supposed to look like, and we fight against, like you said, we fight, to get there, and then realize, okay, this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing the whole time. And it's
Yeah.
something completely different that I never would have seen coming.
Maybe it shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of like relationships, I think, are like that too. Like, I had a lot of relationships, and there was a lot of drama in those relationships, and there was a lot of fighting and stuff like that. And then when I met my wife, it was so easy that I thought there wasn't anything there. Like, I thought, like, this is too easy. Like, we just get along. It's like I almost just like passed it by because I thought there's no drama here. There's no excitement. It's just what it's supposed to be. And then we had kids, and that all changed. But
Oh yeah.
because parenting is hard. So yeah, I think that, like, I think if things are meant to be, whether it's your career or your relationship, they're supposed to be a lot more natural and fit easier and work a little easier.
So, I mean, as you mentioned, I did take your class, and it was definitely not what I expected. Like I said, I thought it was going to be, like the easy breathing, and I found that I actually got really tired
Yeah.
really quickly. And I'm like, how am I supposed to go for 30 minutes, doing this type of breathing? So, is that something you just kind of get used to the more you do it?
Yeah, and I think you've done harder stuff than lay on the floor and breathe for 30 minutes, Sarah. Like, so, you've had a couple kids, 3 kids, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's harder for sure, right? And so going for a hike, I think, is harder than laying on the floor and breathing. It's because it's new. it's a little uncomfortable. And when anything is new, it feels really challenging. And so you go like, oh my God, like when you're doing the breathing technique, you're like, there's no way I can do this for 30 minutes. And then you do. And that's why I think my style really resonated and worked with a lot of people, is because other people who are teaching breathwork are like, yep, keep breathing. You're doing great. And I'm like, no, 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 come on. You got this. You could do harder shit than lay on the floor and breathe. Come on, Sarah. Come on, let's go. Right. And I'm pushing because we need that push to push through, especially in the beginning when you're new and you haven't seen the incredible results yet. So once you start seeing the results, you're like, I'm going to do this because the rest of my day, the rest of my week is going to be amazing. I had somebody in the cold plunge, yesterday that's in a lot of pain. They've got some back issues going on. And I go, listen, this sucks. Nobody likes the cold. This is going to be awful. I'm not going to lie, but you're going to be out of pain for the rest of the day. Is that worth it to you? And they were like, hell yes. And they got in. And so if I said, yeah, breath work is a little uncomfortable, it's a little weird, weird shit's going to happen in your body. You're going to have a big emotional release. You're going to be exhausted afterwards. But guess what? Your whole week's going to be different. You might let go of some trauma or something that you've been carrying your entire life. You might let go of that in this session. And then that might change how you show up in the world, how you show up as a parent, how you show up for your, family and your friends. Is that worth it to you? And they'll be like, yeah, that's worth it to me. I'm like, then let's go. Let's breathe. Come on. Because everything I found is like that changes us, that shapes us, that helps us, requires a little bit of effort and requires moving out of our comfort zone a little bit.
That's true. I mean, yeah, it doesn't just come easily to us. It's not just like, you know what? I'm done being angry and it just goes away, or I'm done dealing with grief and it's gone. Like you do have to put in the effort and the work.
Yeah. And a lot of times what I hear from people is, oh my God, I thought I did all the work. I did the therapy. I did the 12 step. I did Tony Robbins. I did Joe Dispenza. I did everything. And then I came and did this breath work with you, and I realized that I had all this stuff still coming out of me. What's going on there? I'm like, well, because a lot of that work you did was in your head. It was all mental stuff, but this is emotional. This is living in your nervous system. This is living in your body. And you don't realize it's still been in your body until you lay down and do this breath work. And when you do that, you go, oh shit, I've been carrying this around with me in my nervous system. And that like physically, emotionally changes you.
I think that's something a lot of people don't realize, is that we do think that, those emotions are all a mental thing, and not that the body is actually storing these in ways that we probably don't even realize until we do things like this and are like, oh, these things are being released. Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah. Yeah, I had things come up in my early breathwork sessions that I was like, "Oh my God, what? Like something's going on in my arm here. Like, what is that?" And then I realized, "Oh yeah, I broke my arm when I was a little kid, and there was some circumstances around it that were strange." And I was like, "Oh yeah," like, and so I was releasing that and had forgotten about it almost. And so there's things like that, and then there's other things that happen to you that like I got stabbed when I was 19 and almost died, and it's like I've done all the work around this, but like it was still kind of in my body a little bit. That like I'm not safe in the world was still in me. And so, Freud says the most important decision you'll ever make is whether you live in a friendly universe or a hostile one. And I definitely felt like I lived in a hostile one growing up. And I've been able to switch that to live in a friendly universe. And it's really changed the world around me.
Stories like that are so, I mean, I don't know if cool is the right word, but interesting, I guess, to hear. I mean, that even things, from your childhood that you thought you had dealt with, or maybe that you didn't realize had affected you on a deeper level, still come back up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all carrying around stuff that we don't realize we're carrying around. And some of your stuff, I say this in my class, isn't even your stuff. The trauma is passed on through the DNA. Science has proven that. Mothers that were pregnant at 9/11, the babies are born with higher cortisol levels. Great grandchildren of Holocaust survivors, they have higher rates of depression and anxiety and all these things. And then they did these studies on mice where they shocked them and sprayed a cherry blossom spray. And then the next generation, they didn't get shocked. They just sprayed the cherry blossom spray, and then they had a reaction to it. And that went up to 15 generations. So it's like, I always joke, like, you thought you were screwed up because of your parents, and you were right. It is their fault, but it's also their parents' fault and their parents' fault and their parents' fault. So it's like, but now that you're aware of that, it's like, are you going to be the one who changes the family story? Are you going to be the one that changes the lineage, the story line for your family?
So I guess I don't know if you would know the answer to that, but if you're doing the work now, I mean, would you be able, like, I guess if you've already had kids, maybe that stuff has already been passed on, but is that
Yes and
something?
no. You can still change the story. Like some stuff is genetic, some stuff is there, but like how you react, I've changed it as my kids have been born. Like there has been times where I've reacted in a certain way and then I'm like, "Oh, wow, I'm doing this. I don't want to act like this as a parent. Let me shift this right now in real time." And my kids see that, right? And then one of the things that I talk about is like, this is going to sound a little corny and trite, but it's like really learning to love myself and not beat myself up about mistakes. Like I'm never going to hit a point. I had this realization. I'm never going to go to a place in my life where I stop making mistakes. Like I somehow thought like I'm going to stop making mistakes at some point. And that hasn't happened. And I don't think it's ever going to happen. And so the shift for me is like, okay, if I'm going to keep making mistakes, can I stop being so hard on myself for these mistakes? Because your kids don't listen to what you say. They listen to what you do. They watch you. So like if I mess up, it's like, okay, let me model what it's like to not be so hard on myself when I make a mistake. And let me also allow myself the grace when I do make a mistake in front of my kids and to apologize. Like, you know what? Daddy got really upset there. I'm sorry. And so I'm teaching them that it's okay to make a mistake and it's okay to apologize when you make a mistake.
Yeah, that's something I definitely need to work on as well, having kids. I mean, because the way you react affects them a lot more than you realize. And so sometimes I will be like, wow, I'm too stressed, I'm too overwhelmed, I'm too whatever, and that's not how I want to react.
Yeah. I got up. What really shifted it for me is I forced myself to get up earlier, which I know when I say that everyone just cringes. They're like, I'm not getting up earlier. Fuck off. And so, sorry, I don't know if I can swear on this podcast, but I'm not getting up earlier, John Paul. And I'm like, even if it's 20 minutes, right? And they're like, 20 minutes? Are you kidding me? But like, I roll out of bed and I do this breathing technique and it would change how I went into my day. I cleared out the stress. I cleared out the anxiety and it cleared out all the noise and all the stories in my head that was telling myself that like, oh, I got to do this today. And this is really important. And that was stressing me out that I'd be like, come on, you got to get your shoes on, get your whatever, right? All those things, turn that off and be like, let me just be present here. Like, hey, how did you sleep last night? Oh, you had an interesting dream. Okay. I hate listening to dreams, but I'm going to pretend like I don't. And then I'm going to listen to your dream and I'm going to, connect to you. Let me just take a moment to connect to my child instead of being like, we have to be on a schedule. We have to get this done. Let me just connect as my heart to their heart, as a human to another human, and let them know that they're heard, that they're seen. And it changed how I went into my day, and it changed my relationship to my kids. And it changed because, do I want them going to school with their nervous systems on high alert because I'm all stressed out? And now I've stressed them out about getting everything in the car and we got to be on time. And now we're all stressed out. And now all of our nervous systems are wired that way. And am I perfect at doing it? Absolutely not. Is my wife? No. But, we're works in progress.
Yeah. How long do you think it took you, but like when starting the breath work, to start noticing changes in yourself?
You notice it in the first session, like literally in the first time you do it, you notice a big shift. And then you go like, wow, that was pretty profound. I should probably do this again. And I have a lot of people who come and they have a profound, powerful session and they go, I'll be here all the time. And then they don't come back because people like, they don't want to come back and get uncomfortable and do the work for the same reason they don't want to go to the gym or, whatever. But I have other people who come and do it and they go like, I know I need to do this. And they come and they do the work for a while. And you don't have to come to me. Like I have a weekly class on Zoom with a 5-day replay that you could do whatever day works for you. And you could do it multiple times that week if you wanted to. But I tell people like, you can come one time, learn how to do it, and then make your own playlist and do it on your own. I did that because I didn't like the classes that I found when I first started. And so, yeah, you don't have to do it through me. I'm not trying to build a cult here. I'm just trying to help people. And so I always tell people like, just come learn the technique and then do it on your own. Or a lot of people do come to my classes because they like the motivation. They like the connection. They want to be breathing with other people. We're all, there's people in the class from all over the world and they want that connection and they want to be called out. Cause when you come live, I'll be like, I'll call out your name. I'll be like, come on, Sarah, let's go. And so there's a benefit of doing a live Zoom class with me. And you can do the replay as well, or you can do it on your own. It's up to you.
I liked the motivation and the
Yeah.
music and I mean, I liked the whole vibe and the whole, it is motivating. Like you're working through hard stuff, doing something uncomfortable and new, but you don't feel like you're alone when you're doing it. And I liked
Yeah.
that a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've worked really hard to make that class the best possible class that I could do. Like, the presentation that I do in the beginning, it's 8 minutes or whatever. I've really honed that down as like short as I can make it where people are still paying attention. And then 30 minutes of breath work is kind of like the max for new people, but also enough for people who've been coming for a while. And then finding the right music, and then we do this thing, we yell at the end, which is kind of cool. When in life do you get to yell, right? So we do this massive scream at the end, and then I have you pull moments from your life at the after the breath work, moments of gratitude, moments of love, because some heavy stuff might come up during the breath work, but I want people to leave in gratitude and love. I want people focused in gratitude and love and what really matters in their life.
I was actually going to ask about that, the yell. Is that something that is specific to your class, or do other breathwork classes do that?
Some do. Especially people who have trained under me. I've trained over 3,000 people. So I've been certifying people for the last 10 years in my style, my method of teaching breath work. So, and then other people are like, I don't like the yell. And I'm like, you don't have to yell. It's totally up to you. Right. But I find that it really helps people to release, especially at the end. We're kind of building up all this stuff in our body and our nervous system for breathing that way for half an hour. So the yell, there's a weird phenomenon, and this is a generalization, but I find that women need permission to yell and men need permission to cry.
Yeah,
And I try to give them both that in my classes.
I think that's true. I mean, I feel like yelling is not a thing I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
as a woman. Like it's like, no, I'm not supposed to be the one to do that. I have to be
Yeah.
like the
It's
soft,
really
gentle.
but it's acceptable for you to cry, right? Like it's
Yes, yes.
okay, right? And then the reverse is true for men. Like you can yell, you can get angry as a guy, but don't cry. Like don't,
Yeah.
and it's like where did that come from? Well, how do we get here?
I
Where
know
it's like
sometimes
guys need to
it's
cry
like,
too. Guys need to cry too, and women need to yell too. It's like it doesn't it's a weird thing I've discovered. And, in my in-person classes that I do, I don't do them as much anymore, as often as anymore, but I have these gongs, and these gongs like really get super loud in the room, and it really gives people permission to like yell and cry. And so it's really cool. I have a lot of women over the years who have come up to me after the class, like, the breath work is great, but my favorite part is the yell at the end. When I can yell for like a minute long, it feels so good. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I do it.
yeah. I love that though. I mean, yeah, it's like, where did these weird ideas come from that, certain emotions only can be shown by certain genders and certain, like
Yeah.
it's weird.
There's a really interesting documentary that I watched called The Mask We Live In. And it's about what we do to young boys, where we, make them try to toughen them up from a young age. Like, be a man, walk it off. It's like, he's 6. He just got hurt. Like he's supposed to cry,
Yeah.
And so why are you doing that? Why are you telling him to be a man? He's 6 years old. He's not a man, And so we do this thing into young boys, and and then what happens is they don't talk about their feelings. They stuff it all inside. They keep it all inside. And then that's where, a lot of things come in to deal with their feelings, like drinking or drugs or other behaviors that aren't good, or they push it down and then commit suicide. So, it's really heavy, but I think it's important to talk about.
So I'm curious then, do you have mostly, is it like split between men and women in your classes? Is it mostly women, mostly men, or it just depends?
It's 70% women. It's mostly women, and then there's 30% men. Again, I think for those reasons, like where like I'm not going to go to a breathwork class. I have this unique distinction, I think, where a lot of women will come up to me after my class and be like, my husband would never do this, but I'm going to make him do this with you because you're a guy, and I think it'll really work for him. And then the next class, I see her with the husband in the audience, and the husband's just like, I can't believe she dragged me to this shit. And I'm like, that's my guy. I'm going to crack that dude open. And what happens is he has an experience, because you don't have to believe it. You just have to do it. And there's a weird thing where it's like, even if you're like the more skeptical and closed off you are and you don't express your emotions and your feelings, the bigger the experience. So these guys who come will have this huge release, and then they'll come up to me sometimes and they'll go, "Hey man, can I talk to you?" And I go, "Sure." And I go, "I thought this was so stupid, but this was life changing, and I'm really glad she brought me to this. Can I give you a hug?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then they start crying on me in the lobby, and I'm like, "Wow, this guy had it." And that's happened. What I just explained there, that's happened to me hundreds of times, not 10 times, hundreds of times over the last
Wow.
15 years.
That must be so
Pretty
amazing
like
to see
every
that.
class it happens, like every single class.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
that has to feel so good to know that you're helping to make that change in people.
It does. It's the thing I tell my students that I teach, who are going to go do this work themselves. I'm like, listen, forget about the money. The money is a byproduct of doing good work and helping people. What you want to focus on is how many lives can I change? And then the money will come as a byproduct. But like when you change someone's life, you feel amazing. That's purpose. That's fulfillment. That fills you up. You're not always going to be happy all the time. Happiness is an emotion that comes and goes. But if you have purpose, if you have fulfillment, that's going to carry you through the times you're not happy. And this work will give you that in a way that you had no idea. And I tell them that, and then they still email me after they've done a session or a class or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, I did a class and it was amazing, and I helped these people and they told me that I changed their life." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. That's what I told you was going to happen. Like, that's what I said." It's like I tell people what's going to happen, and then they come to me like, "I can't believe what you said was true." Like, well, what did you think? I was lying? Like, this is
Like I was just making up a story.
it's the same with the breath work. I like tell people like, come to the breath work class. You're going to have this profound experience and it might be life changing. And they're like, and then afterwards like, that wasn't life changing. And I'm like, that's what I told you. Like, I'm not surprised. You're the one who's surprised.
Right, right. Like I knew this would happen all along. That's what I've been
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I'm surprised if it doesn't happen. That's what surprises me. Like you must be really blocked off, or you got so caught up in the physical sensations during the breath work that you couldn't like let your mind go and release. That happens once in a while, but most of the time the breath work's just going to do it no matter what.
Mm. So, as you probably know, this podcast is a lot about, infertility and loss and, subjects that come up with a lot of grief and a lot of, feelings and emotions regarding that. So, do you think that breath work is something that can help with like stored feelings of grief and things like that?
Yeah, there's two different things that you said there that I'd like to go over because I think they're both really important. And so I'd like to touch on them separately. The first was infertility, right? And that's challenging and hard. And when I first started doing breath work, I was in different groups and I heard people talking, this guy saying like, you'll get pregnant doing this breath work. And I was like, what? Why? How are you making that statement to someone who wants to have a baby who's struggling with infertility? Like that's a pretty profound like thing to say. Like I wouldn't make that statement or that promise. However, over the last 15 years, I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. I've seen a lot of people struggling with infertility, doing IVF, doing all the things, and then they start doing breath work and it actually, I don't know if it does it or it helps or whatever. And I've asked myself like, why is that? And this is my hypothesis. This is what I think. I think we have stories and things like we were talking about in our nervous system that are blocking us from allowing the conception to happen, right? Whether it's like, I don't know if I don't know if I'll really be a good parent, or, the unconscious or conscious stories, or, the world that I grow up in or the world that we're in now is really scary. Like we're blocking it in a way. And when you do the breath work, it clears out those blockages. It clears out those stories and it allows you to go like, I'm safe. It's all going to be fine. Everything's going to work out with the baby, whatever. And it kind of opens you up in a way. Because, if you can stress yourself out to the point where you lose your hair, like I have alopecia, I lost my eyebrows and my hair. If you can stress yourself out through your emotions that it affects your health and your eyebrows fall out or it causes heart disease or cancer or whatever, then the opposite can be true as well. Right? Like we can heal our body. We can help our body open up to the things that we want. So everybody believes that you can stress yourself out, that you can use your emotions to mess up your health. Well, why don't people believe the reverse?
I mean, that's a very good point.
It
And
is a really good point,
and maybe
right?
some of that is what goes into that unexplained infertility diagnosis that so many people get, where they're like, well, we don't know why you can't get pregnant. Everything looks
Yeah.
fine, but
Yeah.
we don't
Ex-
know.
exactly. And so I've just seen it a lot. I've seen it with students who have done my trainings and then they get pregnant, like all kinds of, and I don't want to, I'm not making that promise, but I'm saying like it's worth trying for sure. And again, like it's not a money grab for me. Like you could do one class and then do it on your own and then see if the breath work changes it for you. So that's the infertility thing. That's the piece of that. The grief thing is a whole other thing. And so, I have unfortunately a lot of experience with grief. I've lost a lot of people. I lost six close friends before I was 21. I've lost a ton of friends along the way. I lost Matthew Perry, who led me to breath work, and I've lost people to suicide and to drug overdoses and just all of these horrible things. And so a lot of my work is around grief. There's a thing I do in my course. I have a bunch of courses online, and one of them is called the 5-Day Emotional Detox. And there's this process I call it the transformational letter that I created. I got part of it from someone else, which is you write a letter to someone saying everything you want to say to them, everything you can't say to them. And people are like, yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, but here's the different part. You write a letter back from them saying everything you want them to say, everything they can't say, either because they're not with us anymore or because they're just never going to fucking say it. They're never going to own it, right? So I've done this process. This process, unfortunately, was created around somebody I loved that I sponsored for 11 years in recovery that took his own life. And I was devastated and I was feeling responsible and I was feeling shame and all these things that we feel around grief, especially when it has to do with suicide. There's a whole other layer there with suicide. And so I wrote the 2 letters and then I did breath work afterwards. And it was an incredible experience because the 2 letters brought up all the stuff that I was feeling and needing and all this stuff. And then the breath work helped me process it and heal it. And so I've done this, I did it as a workshop for a long time in Los Angeles, and people would say, "Oh my God, I did that transformational letter workshop, and I had my father left when I was 8, and I could never. I paid a therapist $500 an hour for years, and I could never get over it. And then I did that one workshop with you with the letters and the breath work, and it completely healed it. It shifted it. And I've had people do it in my trainings, my teacher trainings, and different things. And so it's a really powerful process, and I've done it several times. I've done it around multiple people in my life. Did it around my father. I've done it around this person I lost. And so it's an incredible process that I've created called the transformational letter, and that's around grief. And in Chinese medicine, they say that grief gets stuck in the lungs. And what I think by that, what they mean by that is that we just like it gets trapped in there, and we hold on to it, and then it comes out in other ways, like unexpectedly. And I think what breath work does is it doesn't get rid of it, but it allows you to process and feel it instead of holding it in, and it allows you to walk with it. Because I don't know, I'm not completely sure that we totally ever let go of grief, but I think we learn to walk with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. That process sounds really interesting, though. I want to look into that. Is that
Yeah.
something that's on your
Yeah.
website?
Yeah. So I have 2 websites, but the main website is breathewithjp.com. And that one would be found on the other website. So you could click on online courses and then you go and do the 5-day emotional detox, which is really powerful. And in that course, there's downloadable breathwork tracks that you can use anytime for the rest of your life, that you can use different length tracks. And it has the letter writing process in there. It has some other processes too. There's a thing I call the eulogy. Now I switched it. I call it the legacy, which is really powerful. And you write this letter, and it's incredible. It's another writing exercise combined with the breath work. And then there's affirmations in there to rewire your brain. And there's some other things as well. So that course is really powerful, the 5-day emotional detox course. And I have my teacher trainings online. So because I had people who are in other countries are like, I want to learn from you how to teach this, but I can't make it to the in-person teacher training. So I ended up putting them online. I don't know what it was, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I've rebooted them since and reshot them and refilmed them. And so I have my teacher trainings online as well if somebody wants to learn how to take this to other people. And then I do the trainings in person twice a year, usually like September and January in California. And those are on the website. All that stuff is on the website. And I always tell people like the easiest way in the most gentle like first step is kind of just coming to a breathwork class on Zoom. I do the class on Zoom every Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and there's a 5-day replay afterwards. And so if if you're interested in any of this, I'm like, don't just go sign up for the teacher training. Some people do that. They're like, I'm going to do the teacher training. And I'm like, hold on, you haven't even done breath work yet. Like slow down, go do it. I've had people show up to my teacher trainings that have never done breath work. And I'm like, what are you doing here? You don't even know what this is. You have no idea what you've signed up for. You're crazy, right? But like, all right, let's do it. And then I've had other people that have been doing breath work for 10, 20 years and they're in the training. So it's a good mix.
I love that. It's like, this sounds amazing. I'm just going to jump in
I
and
try to make people do a class online before they come to the training now. That's like one of my prerequisites. Like do at least one class before you come to the training.
yeah.
So
I
you
mean,
know
it
what
would
I'm
make sense.
talking about.
Yeah.
We do a lot of breath work in the training, but we build it in stages.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of amazing resources for people who are, dealing with a wide variety of things, whether it's, grief and loss, or if it's, just trying to, learn how to manage your emotions better as a parent or as a friend or a family member. So I think there's a lot of people that are really benefiting from what you're doing. And I'm just so glad that, I came across you and that I got a little introduction into this because it's something I definitely want to continue learning how to do.
Good. Yeah, one of the things that's interesting about this breath work is that it's different every time you do it. It's different for everybody and it's different every time. So it's like I tell people like, listen, you can do the Sunday class with me and then you can do the replay for that class on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. And it's the same class. It's a recording. It's literally the same class and you're going to have a different experience because it's shifting things inside of you. It's peeling back layers off of you that need to be peeled back and getting you to the core or your essence of who you really are. So I'm like, don't just come one and done. Like do a handful of classes and see what's there for you, or make it a weekly practice and see what happens in your life.
Yeah, definitely need to do that as a parent of three crazy children. Love them, but
Yeah,
life is
it's
a
a
bit
lot.
chaotic.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, I know you already mentioned your website. Do you have other ways to connect with you, like social media or anything?
Yeah, I'm on all the social media stuff and Instagram, Facebook, all those things. But it's a lot to like message me there, and like I don't have time for all of that. I have an assistant who will respond to the messages or the emails or whatever. Because if I was just like messaging people on Instagram all day long, I wouldn't be a present dad. I'd be a
Yeah.
shit dad. So I'm trying to be present in my life. But there, you can watch the videos on there. There's some funny stuff. There's some good tips on there and check it out. And then, like I said, the easiest way is just to come to the website, which is Breathe with JP, BreatheWithJP. So some people do breath with JP.
Oh, yeah.
Breathe with JP. That's why I have to say that. And just see everything that's on there and look around and navigate through the website and sign up for a class. And it's $29 for the class, but it's $10 off your first time because everybody likes a deal. And so it's $19. I'm like, that's a burrito now. Like
Yeah.
skip the
Yeah.
burrito and do a class and you'll feel way better than if you had the burrito. Now listen, I'm not knocking burritos. I love burritos. I'm gonna go have one today.
Right.
But I'm
But
just saying, just one time, just try it and see what's there for you.
well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this information with us today. I hope people definitely go check it out.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me on, Sarah.
A special thank you to Jon Paul for sharing all of this insight on breathwork, emotional healing, and the connection between our bodies, grief, and stress. One of my biggest takeaways from this episode is that healing isn't always just about changing our thoughts. It can also involve processing the emotions that we carry in our bodies. Whether it's grief, trauma, or everyday stress, giving ourselves the space to feel and to release those emotions can be such an important part of the healing journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with someone who might need it, or leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It really helps more loss and infertility families find these conversations. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, we are all in this together.